What's going on YouTube? Today's video we have a 1-year review of the DREO portable AC unit. So we've had it for over a year now. We got it back in June of 2024 and we've had a few models since then. At first we had the white model, which we did give away because it was in summer. It was 120 degrees. They needed their AC broke, so we took care of them. They even sent another one, and that's the one we're reviewing today in this video. We do have a t-shirt shop and it gets super hot in there with multiple machines, heat press. It's just a sweatshop in itself. Not only is it able to cool down the entire warehouse itself and like office space, it does it effectively, quiet, and it performs really good when it removes moisture when needed. And also you could re-put it into a 5-gallon, which we do have as well. We're going to get into everything right now. So first I do want to do a quick unboxing just to show you guys what you get in the box. You have the remote, which is magnetic. It has glow in the dark as well. You have the batteries for that. You have foam for insulation. You have sticky adhesive so you can be able to make sure like no bugs and seal the gaps from the window. You have the window kit as well, which you can add into the vertical and horizontal closing methods for it. You cannot use it on the swinging windows. So now for the specific model that we have here, the dimensions goes as follows. So it's 28 inches in height, 17 inches in depth, 14.37 inches in width. Now this does have an expandable hose, which the measurements for that goes as follows. It's 12.9 inches from fully condensed, and then when you extend it, it gets up to 59 inches. And it's about a 5.9 inch thread. Also for the window installation kit, the measurements for that, if you have a bunch of different options, but for large windows you can go up to 46 to 53 inches in length. And then for small windows you have A+B panels, which you can use from 18 inches all the way up to 24.8. So no matter what, you'll be good. You can resize the panels, move them, mix them around however you want based off of your window size. Recently I did, and I should have actually recorded it, but I went ahead and clean out the filters because they are washable, and it does give you a reminder, I believe, every couple of 100 hours to be able to wash those out and make sure you drain it and all that. It tells you when you need to do certain things if you have the app. So that's what I recommend. If you don't have it, just keep in mind of maintenance and all that, which is not really too much. So now when it comes to the drainage, it'll automatically turn off when it has too much water inside that tank, and it'll stop itself from going any further, and then you could go ahead and empty it out. But it'll evaporate as much as possible, a lot more than it also transfers some of the excess water into the condenser, which allows it to obviously do the cooling process a lot better. So it's pretty smart. Think of it kind of like a water pump, which that's basically what it's called. Now, depending on the BTU rating, if you're curious about it, if you have an 8,000 BTU unit, the maximum area is 150 square feet. If you have a 10,000 BTU unit, it's 200 square feet. 12,000 is 300 square feet, and 14,000 is 400 square feet, which that's the ASHRAE power rating breakdown, which I'll go ahead and include also in this video because a lot of people are curious when it comes to the power and all that. Now I'm going to tell you my personal experience. Yes, it is obviously going to be way more expensive. It depends if you have either it on all the time, so like 8 hours a day, like I mentioned in my breakdown. It is going to add up cumulatively $25, $50, $75, depends on how much extra per month. And obviously during our usage, we used it from June, which is when we got it, till I think late October, which is when it started to finally get colder and the hot air was stopping. Is usually when that happens. About 5 months or so is when you would notice a bunch of usage. So if you get it now early, you don't have to suffer all the way until October or whatever it starts getting cold, and then you can store it away for winter and then use it again in summer. It's a good investment, trust me. You have to take care of it. You have to do your part and actually maintenance this. That way they actually last. If you don't take care of it and you just keep it like that, then it's not going to last. And when it comes to the wind speed, it's 7.8 miles per hour on the first mode, 12 miles per hour on the second mode, and 14.5 miles per hour on the third mode, which is really, really good. That's actually as powerful as a dedicated fan like this poly fan right here, just for an FYI. Now it does have an oscillation function, which means it's able to actually maneuver or just push out the air evenly across the room very, very effectively. Now it does have have a vertical spread, which means the actual spinning engine, I guess you could say, is pushing out air vertically. That way it doesn't have any struggling issues pushing the air straight up and then curve it off like some of the older units. This is just straight vertical, so it's more powerful that way. But they do come now in a bunch of different colors. Before they only had a white and a black. Now they have gold, gray, silver, and starlight. So you have a bunch of different options when it comes to this. So if you want to go ahead and check out any different color, if they're in stock, because they are selling out really fast, especially since it is summer, like I said. So usually white's going to be the most available, which it makes sense because it's one of the more easier ones to actually produce. And I'll show you right now. It does tell you like the temperature in the room, even if you don't have it on. So it'll tell you like basically when you need to turn it on. You can also set it to be a certain temperature if you need it to be. So right now in the room where it is at is 79 degrees Fahrenheit. And it shows you right there as well on the app. There you go. And we used it for 7 hours since we cleaned it. So it reminds you every 600 hours whenever you need to clean it. Draining out the water and all that. We put a 5-gallon next to it just so we can empty it out. We still have to kind of figure that out because it always gets kind of trapped, and then you have to like manually push it down. And then I'm not exactly too sure. If someone wants to help me with that, if you know how to like properly put out the drainage, because I might look it up after this video, who knows. But yeah, we did used to have a schedule on because we had to keep the room a certain temperature, a certain humidity, which is super important for the t-shirt shop. And we had it on from around 11 a.m. or in the morning all the way up until closer to night. That way it can stay at a certain temperature the entire time. So no matter when we go in the shop and produce shirts and do everything like that, it's going to be at a good temperature no matter what for the machines and for us whenever we're in there. Not only is it good for obviously the machines, it's good for us too when we're in there, which helps in the long run. Once we have machines on, it'll get closer to the 100-degree mark, and you know, it's really disgusting in there when it gets hot because we do have 350-degree heat presses that are turned on. So it gets cooking in there, you know. The ease of use to set up, like when we stored it, we just had a little dust cover over it basically, and that did a really good job when it came to, you know, keeping it safe and clean and all that from any environmental stuff. So it did a really good job when it comes to that. So if you do store it, make sure you just buy one of those little dust cover things and you'll be good. All right, really quick, I want to add something. If you do decide to use the 5-gallon, make sure you don't directly put it into the humidifiers. I recommend to actually use an RO, a reverse osmosis water filtration system, in order to filter out any particles. That way, if you're putting something out in the air, obviously you want it to be as good as possible. Now, some filtration systems on air purifiers do that anyways, which is why they have filters. So, you know, for the people that commented that multiple times, don't reuse it because of certain chemicals in the water pump and everything else like that in the actual AC. It's not going to output clean water. So if you have that peace of mind, just use an RO, filter it out, and then use it however you choose. All right, so now I want to go ahead and do a Q&A. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of the questions that I have or haven't answered in the video a year ago, just to show you guys a little bit more. Voice assistant feature as well, which is a really nice add-on, and there's not enough, you don't have to drain it as much as opposed to other units. So that's also one person here. Someone said, here to make your year. Haha, thanks, man. And then also, someone did say, would appreciate if you could do a detailed noise review, as that is one of the biggest concerns with portable units, as to how loud it is on the lowest and max settings. So we're going to go ahead and just show you guys what it sounds like. I'll capture this as best as possible. I'll do multiple microphones if needed to capture this. And then someone said, great review using the normal AC. like mode, I believe. Are you also dumping water from the unit as well? Thanks a bunch. Enjoy your weekend, my friend. And then someone said, hi, what are the dimensions of the window panel in terms of height? I have a window that won't open very much vertically, and I was wondering if this would fit. So I did read that comment before filming this video, which is why I included that, which I'll probably just include in this portion right here. So thank you for letting me know. Someone said, can I change the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius? Does it come with the window kit for casement windows? Oh yeah, so those swinging windows, basically, you can't use them with it. To change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius, that's a good question. I believe you can on the remote and maybe on the app. I'm gonna double check this. Yes, you can. Device temperature unit from Fahrenheit to Celsius. It shows you right there as well. I read an Amazon customer review that when the unit is in between AC cycles, it blows outside exterior air into the bedroom, which can bring in smelly air. Can you please verify if this happens to you? I want to see what I said. I haven't had any problems with that, but if you're concerned about the smell, you can always pair it with an air purifier. That's a good response. And then they said, okay, yeah, I have an air purifier. The Amazon review also stated it brought in hot air from the outside in between cycles. And I mentioned basically you can use the weather strips that are included. That way you can actually seal out as much as possible, which good thing it does come with that. So I answered their question in the comment, but I'm gonna answer in this video too, just in case anyone has that question. Will it need to be shut off when it rains? Going in the hose and all that. So I mean, if it does rain, it's not going to be a hot day in my opinion, but maybe there are hot days out there. I'm sure there are that also rain. So if that happens, then would it collect in the hose? Probably yes. You might have to get like some type of, I genuinely don't know. If it is sprinkling, then it might be okay, because the air will actually like push away some of the rain before it actually enters. Some of it might enter, but it'll just evaporate eventually. But if it's like heavy rain, I would just close the window at that point. Someone said, have you had to use the drainage while using the AC? I know it was a special evaporation, but wondering if it worked well enough to not need the drainage hose. Eventually, like I said, you will have to use the drainage hose or just manually do it, but it's not as often as opposed to other units out there, which is why this is like patented in several ways because of this, and gives it more of a ease of use when it comes to the customer. So hopefully everyone had all their questions answered. If you have more questions, I'll answer as many as possible. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, DREO, for all the support you've been doing for the past over 2 years. Thank you for helping me help other people out as well when it comes to summer, when it comes to everything else like that. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.